Greetings, I'm Armen, welcome to the Guitar Sound Guide channel, and in this episode I'm over the moon excited to share with you an unbelievable story on how we became buddies with Jesse Davey from Kingtone Guitar and Douglas Cower from Cower Guitars. Let's go! Before we get started, I'd like to express my sincere gratitude to Jesse and Douglas. It was a pure pleasure to make the story I'm about to tell you happen, and I strongly believe that this is only the beginning of a fruitful relationship and the most exciting stories and collaborations are yet to come. First, let me tell you the story behind this astonishing Cower Banshee Deluxe. It was spring of 2019 when my buddy first introduced me to the band called Rival Sons. I immediately fell in love with the music and the guitar sound of the band. Later, same year, I was lucky enough to catch the only concert Rival Sons had given in Moscow, and that show was incredible indeed. So, the guitarist of the band, Scott Holliday, among other guitars, used Cower Banshee that night, but I thought it was a Gibson Firebird. Afterwards, I checked out some rig rundown video with Scott and found out about the Cower guitars. And since that moment, I had followed the brand on the social media and from time to time had commented some of their posts and exchanged messages with Douglas a couple of times. Fast forward to the spring of 2024, I was searching an option for a Firebird style guitar to use for shooting demos and did some researching on history of Gibson Firebird models and on the contemporary luthiers who make their own versions of them. Ironically, on models I've come to conclusion that my ideal Firebird would be sort of a modded 7 that would have a hardtail bridge instead of the Maestro Vibrola tailpiece and 3 Firebird pickups. More on what's so ironic about that later. And regarding luthiers, I haven't found other options aside from Cower guitars. Yes, there are some interesting models like Fano PX6 or Springer Firehawk, but they have set neck construction rather than neck through. And that is significant, or I should say a deal-breaking difference to my thinking. While the story with Jesse, that I will lay out later, was developing successfully, and because we get along so well, I've decided to send a message to Douglas Cower to see if I can get some kind of a buddy deal, as Douglas will call it later, on a Banshee guitar. Here comes the ironic part. Douglas responded that he had an almost finished project already routed for 3 Firebird pickups and wraparound hardtail bridge. Initially, it was a custom order Banshee Deluxe version with maple top, but after putting it together, the team wasn't too happy about how the grain on the maple turned out, and decision was made to paint the top and replace the order with another build. My response was, it seems like you built this guitar especially for me. The wraparound bridge was even more comfortable option for my right hand, since I get used to them playing my PRS guitars for several years now. We settled on all the options and mods rather quickly, and with great pleasure I will tell you everything about them in depth in a separate video dedicated to the review demo of the guitar. So if that seems interesting, please consider subscribing to the channel and turn on the notification. And before we switch gears to a Kingtone guitar story, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the entire Cower Guitars team for their excellent work. Before finishing specs of the electronics, I've asked about all possible options and received answers to all my questions. Also, special thanks for rewiring the pre-wired harness of the guitar according to my needs. This guitar turned out incredible. It plays, sounds, and most importantly laid down tracks even better than I expected. I believe this is the only Cower Banshee Deluxe in Russia, at least one that can be viewed and heard on YouTube. It most certainly will be loved and played with passion and pleasure here in GSG Studio, not only for the video purposes, but for my original music production as well. This next story will be somewhat longer, so maybe grab a cup of coffee and let's jump right into it. The first King Tone pedal that I acquired was the Soloist, which is Jesse's take on a Tube Screamer circuit. After the first test, I was completely blown away with the sound and feel of the pedal, and as a bonus it has an SRV vibe, as the most of King Tone pedals do, which will melt the heart of everyone who is familiar with Stevie's guitar tone. Since that moment I had followed King Tone guitar on the social media, and from time to time had commented some posts and exchanged messages with Jesse couple of times. Next, I did a review demo of the Duelist pedal, and couple of months later I did another review of the Blues Power pedal with English subtitles, and have sent it to Jesse to see what he thinks about it. To my pleasure, he really liked my review, and afterwards we had following conversation that will unfold into incredible story. It turned out that Jesse was using a specific model of Soviet-era germanium transistor to build the Mini Fuzz V2 pedals, of which I am a huge fan, and he was running low on them, and at the moment they've become so hard to find that he even considered to discontinue the manufacturing of the Mini Fuzz altogether. In response, I've asked him the specific model of the transistor in order to try to find required quantity here in Russia. And 3 weeks and 12 deals on Russian analog of eBay later, I've managed to collect even a bit more units than Jesse asked for. Then the question arose how to deliver transistors from Moscow to Los Angeles at a reasonable price. Just for the context, if we've used DHL delivery service, it would cost us 4 times the price of transistors themselves, which would have ruined the whole idea and undermined all my efforts of finding and buying them in the first place. But thanks to my friends, I've managed to find a company that delivered the package safe and sound for only the 1/6 of the cost of the transistors. But that's not all. After I processed and shipped the parcel with transistors to the transport company, it turned out that they are qualified as dual-use goods and cannot be taken out of the country without the approval of a special examination. I've had to put in some serious effort to collect a package of documents necessary to pass the examination, including writing a purchase and sale agreement in 2 languages. But despite all the obstacles, we managed to fulfill all the requirements and successfully deliver transistors to a gentleman that I'm privileged to call my friend, named Jesse Davey. Funny moment. At the very beginning of the story, Jesse asked me about how he can thank me for my time and efforts, to which, after putting my Don Vito Corleone hat on, I replied that I don't take money from my friends for helping them, and I think much more clever solution would be for me to get some of the pedals from you and make videos about them. That would be more of a win-win situation for both of us. Besides, for me personally, knowing that many people would have opportunity to buy Mini Fuzz pedal because of my help to you already means a lot. And instead of momentary money income, I would rather to establish good relationships with you for years to come. But as I understood later from our dialogue, my approach rather alarmed him than pleased, for which I in no way blame him, because it was a serious matter involving a significant amount of money. And I would like to take this moment to specifically thank Jesse for his trust, given the risk it was for him. But when he finally received all those transistors, which by the way will sustain the manufacturing of Mini Fuzz for a few years, he was generous enough to send me the following products as a gift: pedals Soloist V2, Heavy Hand V2, 9068 Vibe V2, King Tone Switch, and Bluebird J1 guitar pickups, and for each of them I will make separate video with great pleasure. I would also like to express my gratitude to Jesse, not only for unintentionally giving me the thought to contact Douglas Cower to begin with, but also for assistance in solving organizational issues with acquiring the guitar. Therefore, this instrument is even more valuable for me because of the story behind it. And in conclusion, I would like to share with you some of my impressions on this story. The fundamental goal of my channel from the very beginning has been to support guitar gear manufacturers who in my opinion deserve it. And in the process of preparing the launch of the video production, which frankly took a couple of years, I primarily counted on cooperation with foreign companies. But due to large-scale geopolitical changes, I had to reconsider my development strategy and shift my focus to the local companies. And this opportunity to collaborate not with one but with two companies that I admire was totally unexpected, to say the least. And our communication brought me back to the idea of musicians, or I should say creators diplomacy, that I mentioned in my review of Strymon Dig V2. Building mutual, respectful and fruitful friendship and sharing this story through the social media will allow us to prevent the spread of hatred that is leveraged by mainstream media, and as a result the deterioration of relations between our countries. And also this friendship can serve as a foundation for their more active restoration when the right time comes. But believe that's all for today. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments. I will be happy to answer them. Thanks to everyone who watched the episode till the end, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!